Hi, I'd like to begin. My name is Elizabeth Terrio, and I'm doing a quarter car suspension analysis using MATLAB. First, I wanted to state that really to get an understanding of just how spring and mass damper system works, a very common example of that is of a mass damper system is using a car suspension model. And so for this purposes, to keep the calculations simple and easy, I used a single degree of freedom for this suspension. So, and but I did it with different applications. So the first being a free vibration, the second one being with a forced vibration, and the third having an impulse vibration. And of course, with that free vibration, and then also with that forced harmonic vibration response, and then with that impulse, I was able to analyze how with different varying speeds and different damping ratios, what results and what my model would look like using MATLAB. And so the car I used just for analysis to get that quarter car suspension was I was able to just pick a car that that I could use just as it gives a more real life parameter. And so here I state that with the analysis with that quarter car suspension, because it has a 50-50 distribution from front to back, then it was very easy to calculate just for that quarter car suspension, and then you're able to just get the mass for that. Now, mind you, for the damping constrictions, I used a very similar, like stated here, as far as for the K being the 22,000. But I mean, and that was more just to give an idea of what my parameters were for this suspension analysis. And so, and usually the first thing you have to do is to establish whether the system is being underdamped, critically damped, or overdamped. And a good reason would be to explain why your system is reacting this way. I would, in most systems, you naturally assume that your system is going to be underdamped, and with the calculations and everything, you could kind of go with that assumption and then run your simulation based on what you would possibly expect. And so I would, for that first part, with that single degree, to keep the calculations kind of simple, as we were finding out and doing those two different types of methods, I applied using MATLAB to confirm my results. And this is the first one, the first method, and you can see the code here. But then as you can see, as the zeta, the damping ratio changes, your results also change. So then I used a second method to almost verify my varying ratio, but I did it as an impulse, and I did it not as impulse, but as I did it on top of each other. You couldn't really see the separation, but it didn't take long for it to get back to steady state. So then for the second part, I did a harmonic vibration response, and that's really kind of like as modeling as though the car is going over a really rough road. But a lot of times this is simulated in a lab as far as how the vehicle would respond to really rough up and down motion. And so with that, I was able to change my velocities, and you can see as with the change in velocities what the responses were. And it had a neat display, and it was pretty exciting to get that kind of result. So, and this is just over just a 5-second period of time. And then the last one, still with that single degree of freedom, we did a rectangular wave response, vibrational response. And this is just, you know, like a car going over a pothole or a large bump. And so what you would, expect to see as that. And this was applied with different velocities, so how fast you would initially hit that disturbance, and then as it responded to that disturbance, the velocity for this purpose was remained constant throughout. So, and then you're able to see this. So this one with the response and that zeta at this one, and then the time just over 10 seconds that it took about 3 seconds for it to go over and respond to the bump and then go back over and get back down to the road. And I did it for 2 different types with different zeta responses on this one, but at the same time keeping the velocity constant. Well, there's my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. It was really fun to do an initial analysis on a quarter car suspension, and I thank you for your time.